Hi, within this lecture we're going to cover something called tuples. So I'm going to create a new Python notebook from here, and let me go and change the name to tuples. And I've heard people pronouncing this as a tuple or tuple, so you may choose whatever you want, okay? But I call it tuple. So what is a tuple? Tuple is a list-like object, okay? So dictionaries, sets, or list-like objects, but they have some similarities, they have some differences, and I believe you have understood them in the previous lectures. Tuples are like lists, but they cannot be changed after they are initialized, okay? So they're immutable too. So let's suppose we have actually a list like my list equals to like A, 1, and C, for example. So what could I do in the previous lectures? I could have said my list 0 and it's going to be A, but I could have changed it, right? So my list 0 is now B. So if I call my list, now it's B1C. So we could change the first element, but if I call my tuple, so you create tuples with regular parentheses, okay? So let me call the same thing A1C. And if I call my tuple with a square braces again, I can just say get me the first index, 0 index, and it's A. But I cannot do that. My tuple 0 is now B. As you can see, we get an error and it says that a tuple object does not support item assignment. So we cannot change this. So let me hash this out and hit Shift Enter again to make it into a comment. And let me mark down this immutability thing, immutable. So we cannot change the single element inside it, like we couldn't do that in strings as well, right? So if you cannot say my tuple 1 is equal to 2. So I believe you have now understood the difference between a list and a tuple. Maybe at this time you think that why would I ever use tuple when there are lists, right? So we can create lists in the same way and we can change them afterwards. So tuple actually imposes a restriction upon us, right? But we don't know what kind of data we get from other sources. So we're going to use a lot of external libraries when we deal with Python. And external libraries actually are one of the strongest areas of Python and one of the most popular reasons why Python is being often used by programmers, developers around the world. So we will use external libraries, and they tend to use tuples over lists because they don't want us to change the data that we have gotten from them, okay? Or at least without actually processing it. So we may get tuples when we deal with external libraries. We may get tuples when we deal with another SDK, software development kits, I don't know, libraries, modules, packages. So even if we don't want to use them, believe me, you will just come across with them a lot. So it's better to learn about tuples. So like tuples has a count method, and if you just run it, you will get an error saying that count takes exactly one argument. So you have to give it an argument to work with. So what argument do we have to give? You have to give an element like A. So it counts the A inside a tuple. So if you want to learn count of a specific element, you use that. Let me give you an example. Like my tuple 2 is now 1, 1, 1, and A, and I don't know, C, okay? So if you say my tuple 2 dot count, and if you give 1, it will give you 3 because we have 3 ones in my tuple 2. So if you say my tuple 2, as you can see, we have an index. So it gives the index of a specific element as well. So if you say A, it will give 0, 1, 2, and 3. So A is located at the third index. But we have more than one ones here, right? So if I say my tuple 2 dot index 1, what will it give? So it will give the first index it encounters the specific element. So it's 0 for us. Yeah, it's located in the second index as well, but it just says the first location that is found. So let's stop here, and within the next lecture we're going to learn something called Boolean.